the song Ditchin' My Addiction was when we were working at Serenity House. And it was very interesting there because Gilles, again, had asked me if I'd do this one as well. And Amy Lynn, was the coordinator. She's just a third year psychology student, but Gilles was quite impressed with how she had set this up all on her own. So I had, as soon as I heard about it, like, as I do with things like this, I get little rhythms going in my head when I'm thinking about a theme for a song. But so originally, I'd called it Ditchin' on Addiction, right? And so we were amongst the group. So I'd always, bring in an idea, and I'm just always open to the thought of, well, if you don't like this, we can change it, right? So one of the guys had said, I can't take that. Like, and I'd been working with him for a couple of weeks, and I really liked him, and he said, that just makes me feel queasy. So we came up with Ditchin' My Addiction instead, which he was pleased with. It's all great, it's just, and then they were all, again, I had the first verse, and then I'd also said, instead of like in the chorus where it goes, I'd like to be free, so free, to be clean. So I said clean, and they were correcting me, saying, one of the counselors there saying, look, we don't use that term clean because the opposite of it is dirty, right? So we use the term connected. So I said, oh great, because actually that was my original thought when I'd put clean. I was asking a couple of people, I said, well, do you think clean works there? Like, I'd asked Ashley, and I'd asked my wife too, who was also a psychotherapist, and everybody was a little uncertain. So it was nice to get that in there, connected, and then, then we really jammed the second verse rather, and everybody was so happy to work on it, it's really great. But I'm just thinking about one more little story there too. So Amy Lynn really liked the Forensic Blues, and, she'd get me to play it every so often. So this time while we were working on the song, I played it, and when it got to the part when I wake up in this place, I want to punch someone in the face, this one fellow who I was just talking about, he had his guitar in his hand, and he just stood up, and he made a sound like, it was a nervous laugh, but he just picked up his guitar, walked out of the room, and then didn't say, none of us said anything, no comments, and then he eventually came back in, and he goes, look, in the last year, I've lost my job, I've lost my wife, I've lost my house, I've lost all my belongings, to addiction, right? And so he was just finishing this program, like it was a 9-week program, and so I said to him, well, what did you do before? And he said, well, I was a chartered accountant. And I said, well, can you go back to that? And he said, no, like I can't. It's just the corruption and everything like that. I just can't do it. So it's just, you learn so much by being in these situations. Like, it's a real gift to be there. Ditching my addiction. You might think it's fiction, but it's caused a lot of friction in my life. So I'm ditching my addiction. I have this predilection. Something sure needs fixing in my life. I'd like to be so free, so free, to be connected and free. So no more contradiction, the feeling of confliction addiction. I just want connection in my life. So I'm switching my prescription, no need of a description. Goodbye to addiction in my life. I will be so free, so free, so connected and free. So no more contradiction, the feeling of confliction. I just want connection in my life. So I'm switching my prescription, no need of a description. Goodbye to addiction in my life. I will be so free, so free, so connected and free. I'm ditching my addiction. You might think it's fiction, but it's caused a lot of friction